I met Dr. Grosser as my second opinion physician. After I had met with a doctor, I was introduced into a disorienting process where it was shared with me within 60 days of meeting Dr. Grosser that I had an incurable degenerative nerve disease that I had never heard of before. And as I was wrestling with understanding what that meant, I was informed that for me to be able to continue to live my life in the active way that I wanted to, I was probably facing a very invasive surgery with a very lengthy recovery. I wanted a second opinion, and when I did, I found my surgeon.
Charcot Marie Tooth is a type of disease that's a chronic demyelinating disease for peripheral nerves, and there's a lot of different variations of it. But it does affect certain muscle groups, and so if there's a weakness on one side and the other muscle group is strong, it tends to deform the foot and the ankle region and make it more unstable and harder to control. And so we can't change what's happening to the nerves that talk to the muscle, but we can try to reroute muscle and shift bone to stabilize the foot and ankle so that you have more ability to control your body again.
Well, you know, it's funny because when I came to you, as we first talked about, from having played soccer for 50 some odd years, I first, began this journey when I found myself incapable of running down a soccer field without falling over, and I couldn't understand how I couldn't control my feet when I've been doing this obviously for, decades. And it was getting to the point, not only could I no longer enjoy that type of athletic involvement in my life, but I was just having a very difficult time even being able to trust my foot walking around the office and doing activities on a weekend. And that was no other way to put it than just scary, because what I was learning about the disease was that, one, it's not going away, and two, that some of the things that were the potential way for you to help were going to be, a long-term commitment on my part as well. But the willingness to think about me on a holistic front, and then also for us to jointly build what my future could look like, was just a remarkably positive impact on me during the process, and it has definitely kept me motivated and optimistic as I move forward from the surgery. What was so different about my interaction with Dr. Grosser wasn't just with her individually, which I'll get to in a second, but it was also with the entire team. And I am a multi-decade executive inside the managed care healthcare space, so I'm somebody with a really deep knowledge of how the healthcare system functions, but I still ended up in the wrong office, speaking to the wrong practitioner. And it's very challenging, I think, for all of us as regular folks to try to figure out the right way to get to the best care, and to have those folks really take a strong interest in understanding and explaining, not only understanding what they can do for us, but also that we can understand the opportunities and how to make informed decisions. And Dr. Grosser's entire team, but her in particular, were so compassionate. What really stood out was the way that you treated me as a equal human being that deserved your respect, and also deserved the opportunity to understand the wider milieu in which I currently was in, the mental strain of learning about a new disease, the uncertainty about my future. The other part was as well that we didn't just talk about what you could do for me surgically and medically, but there were very long discussions around what my future could look like with your help. And that also enabled the two of us to talk about what kind of outrageous goals I might have, kind of maybe reel some of those in as a former athlete that tends to overdo what I think I can do right after something like surgery. But the other part being willing to work with me on setting what is a stretch goal, but also being highly realistic about what the challenges would be ahead of that. But it was those absolute qualities of compassion, of respect, of making sure that I was comfortable and informed, and lastly, going above and beyond to understand my entire space. Who was I and where was I within this medical journey, not just a patient. not just a foot on a screen.
I'm grateful that you feel that way about us, and how we loved it when you would come into the office, because you really did bring a ray of positivity that we all just could feel. And so, I mean, you encourage it as much as we do.
That was an outward expression of my gratitude for the entire team. And it really is the entire team.
Yeah, I can't do it alone in there.
Well, it's a well-oiled machine, but it doesn't feel anything like that, right? It has such a warmth and a genuineness to the compassion and caring that is the business that everybody's involved with.
Yeah.
And the ability to create rapport with a patient is such a critical part, especially, for those of us that are facing fairly significant surgeries.